Yeah. Okay, here's the next one. The beloved Prius, for which the Portland region is known because we have more of these per capita than any place in North America. Did you know that? Here's what these, you're going to see an announcement next Tuesday indicating that Toyota has selected the Portland region to be a demo site for testing these new plug-in Priuses. Wow. And these have a smaller battery pack. They go about 13 to 15 miles in battery electric mode. Now think about my wife. She goes from Reed College, she goes down to Front Avenue in Portland, and back. She can do all of that in battery mode only without burning any tailpipe emissions. And yet, when I need to go to Seattle or we choose to go to Corvallis for a football game, we can just convert it over and run it in hybrid mode and have the full range of mobility. So this is an interesting car. And again, next Tuesday, you're going to see that the Portland area has been selected as one of 5 test markets for this vehicle. This is because we have an environmental reputation here. In fact, a little sidebar just to send you guys some love. Across the nation today, it's Saturday, and people are off going to baseball games and soccer games and grocery shopping and taking a nap. You're here for this event. I mean, I'll bet you there's no other community in the United States that's doing what you're doing. So I want you to give yourselves a big hand. One more car that I want to highlight for you, and I'm not here as a shill for General Motors, but General Motors has something. You've heard of the Chevy Volt. This is a different kind of car. It's different than a battery electric. It's different than a plug-in Prius or a plug-in hybrid. This car is designed around the notion of having an electric motor that will go about 40 miles. And when the battery runs out on it, it has a little internal combustion engine and a little gas tank that doesn't propel the wheels, but rather generates enough electricity to recharge the battery so the battery continues to propel you. And you can go not 40 miles, but in fact 240 miles in this type of car. So kind of an interesting approach. What's the key message here? It's twofold. Not all electric vehicles are the same. And secondly, you're going to see different strategies and different products that come to market starting in December of this year. And over the next couple of years, you're going to see entries from just about every manufacturer, not only in the United States, in Europe, but also in Asia, that will be bringing products. And in large measure, they'll be coming into Oregon very early. That's good for us. Okay. Light-duty trucks. I'm not going to go into this too far except to say that light truck mobility, moving goods around in an urban area, is very important, and we at Portland State and our partners at Portland General Electric and in the cities are very interested in this because trucks produce quite a bit of carbon. Electric vehicles, because of our land use laws and our geography, are very promising here. So you'll start seeing that. You're also going to see something called NEVs. I'm sorry, this is missing an N in front of it. Small neighborhood electric vehicles. These are bigger than golf carts. This is bigger than, Scottsdale, Arizona, or Sun City. But these are cars that go essentially below 35 miles an hour, and they're appropriate for going to the post office, going to the grocery store, not getting on I-5 though. Okay? And they're cheaper. And even, yes, in Oregon we even have electric recreation vehicles. I see this young man back here is going to his ice cream. He said, I want to be an environmental recreation driver. And so here's the point. When you think about electric vehicles, I don't want you just to think about passenger vehicles. I want you to think about a whole range of different vehicles. Yes, even electric skateboards. I'm not going to go through this slide except to make one point with you. Electric vehicles, the cost per mile of operating an electric vehicle is typically about 4 cents a mile, and for internal combustion engine vehicles, it's typically about 14 cents a mile, about 4 times more expensive. The other thing is that motor-driven cars tend to be much more reliable than all of the mechanical parts of internal combustion engine vehicles. Why do you care about that? Well, I'll tell you why you might. Because electric vehicles today cost more than your internal combustion engine vehicle, whatever you drive. And here's a case in point. Nissan has announced their Leaf, which is coming out in December, coming into Oregon, and they announced their pricing on it next week. Now, this is a very nice car. It's well equipped. Their announced pricing is $32,700. My wife once bought a BMW for that, you know. On the other hand, there's a federal tax credit, $7,500, and an Oregon, I think they call it RETC, Residential Energy Tax Credit, of $1,500. So if you buy one of those vehicles, your net cost is actually going to be $9,000 less. It's going to be under $24,000 to operate a car that has a much lower operating cost, 4 cents a mile versus 14. So if that's important to you and you don't drive long distances, that's actually a pretty good deal. When Nissan announced their pricing, General Motors blew a gasket because they were going to charge $40,000 for the Volt. And the people at Mitsubishi they had a psychotic break because they were going to charge $42,000 for a car that was barely bigger than a Toyota Yaris. But here's the deal. If you're an early adopter, if you're a pioneer, you can probably expect to pay more up front and probably pay less over time to get in one of these cars. And I can warrant whether you're a supporter or not, you will have choices over the next 2 or 3 years that will really surprise and please you, and the prices will likely fall. Let's get ready to wrap up here.
What were we supposed to remind you on?
Where's the manufacturing plant?
April 20th.
For which?
Nissan Leaf.
The manufacturing plant for the first 2 years of this is going to be in Japan, but they are building a brand new facility in Franklin, Tennessee that will crank out 150,000 Nissan Leafs starting in 2012.